Oh, no wonder. Stupid. That's what happens when you think you're a producer of a podcast and you're not. You just fuck shit up. All right, everyone. Welcome to a Thirsty Thursday. It's actually been a minute since we've had since we've done a podcast, to be honest with you. It took a little bit of a hiatus, little break sometimes. So I am excited for this one. I see people already chiming in and keeping it real already. Ray's Moto, looking forward to it. And of course, the homie Hale Speed already busting our balls the only way that I expect him to, and I know he knows how to. So for being late, we are fashionably late. That's how you make an entrance, man. You got to come in with a little, you can't show up like on time a little bit before. You got to come in with a little splash, little bam, walk into the room style shit, you know? So anyways, on a real note, time is money. So on the business end of it, I get it. But happy Thursday to you guys. On that note, let me get this shit cracking. Oh man. Here in SoCal, it's muggy. It's like a humid, muggy, hot. Monday and Tuesday was boiling hot. And there I see Roach joining the conversation here. I see him over there. It's been a little muggy over here, so a nice cold michelada hitting the spot tonight. So all right. I don't know how I really want to just dive into this stuff. So I thought maybe I just dive into this shit. I don't think there's another way to kind of, I mean, we've already been saying what the topic is, and I've got my thoughts on it. And I've talked to some other, I don't know if you want to call us, what the fuck? He's definitely an industry guy. And I mean, Jace from Fast Life, he's definitely an industry guy. He's a painter. He's in the scene. He's in the industry in that sense. Talk to him a little bit about it, and it's always good to like bounce ideas and bounce things off of other people, to kind of just make sure that your thought process, you know, is checking out. And so you got to verbalize what you're thinking about a subject in order to kind of like just kind of dissect your thoughts and go, yeah, that is the way I feel about it. So I had a good conversation with him, and so it kind of set me on a level, on a tone of like, hey, I definitely want to talk about this shit in the podcast, because it is definitely for, I guess, even for the Harley standpoints, this is a new kind of thing. You know, social media, to what it is a whole new element that's been added to Harley Davidson, the culture, the lifestyle, kind of the way to be able to connect. And so it's had its positives, and it's also had its negatives on it. And part of what we talked about, or what we posted this week, was a post. And I'm going to post it, actually. I'm going to share it because I want to kind of make sure and set kind of the tone, at least, or you guys have an understanding of where we're coming from on this. Because there's a lot of things to kind of break down. There's truths to it. And then there's also like, okay, why is that your truth? Why is that your truth? And I think that's really ultimately what I kind of want to break down tonight on the podcast is, if that stuff holds some truth to you, if that is truly the way you feel with what we're going to post right now, why is that your truth? And I think that's where we're going to have some good dialogue and some good conversation. So keep that kind of in mind, because that's kind of the direction. I know why I feel the way that I feel about about this, for my reasons, because that's my truth. And that's sort of my reasons to be. I want to hear from you guys. So let me post this shit. Let me share my screen really quick. I'm going to do this one here. Here it is right here. Okay. So I'm going to share this screen. There we go right there. Let me see if I can actually make it a little bit bigger. Does that help? I think that helps right there. Okay. So I'm not sure if you've really got to kind of hone in and like squint on your end. I'm going to jump over here to the other screen so that I can read it myself. So here's basically kind of what we're breaking down tonight. And I really want, if you're going to chime in or you have some thoughts, you're going to bust in on the comments, or you're just going to, and you are going to jump in on the podcast. I really want you to kind of think about this on different levels before, make sure you have your thoughts together. We're going to bust balls. We're going to have shit, but we're going to try and keep things as real as we possibly can with this one. So let's just read it, because sometimes it's going to rub people one way and it's going to rub people another way. So let's just read it, take it for what it is. This is what we kind of posted. This is the subject, kind of the topic for tonight. It reads, want to get into motorcycles? Question mark. Cool. Couple things you got to learn first. And it goes on to list a shit ton of things about being, how lame you are. Let me read it. If you ride slow, you're lame. If you ride fast, you're lame. If your bike has hard parts, you're lame. If your bike isn't cammed, you're lame. If you have one too many pieces of chrome, you're lame. If you paint it and we don't like it, you're lame. If you don't have $700 rotors, you're lame. If you don't ride out of state every weekend, you're lame. If you don't ride as hard as us, you're lame. If you didn't fabricate the parts yourself, you're lame. If you don't wrench on it yourself, you're lame. If you do wrench on it yourself and something breaks, you're lame. If you go to events, you're lame. If you don't go to events, you're lame. If you trailer your bike, you're lame. I think you get the gist of it. Basically, it's almost like everything about this shit makes you feel like if you don't have this, you're lame. You've probably heard it in different aspects, and it makes it feel like there's so much either hate or there's just a bad fucking breed or there's something going on about this shit. Because it rings true, but this is what I want to dissect. Now, the last part of this also reads, so much negativity stemming from jealousy. And so I think that right there, when I read that, yes, a lot of the stuff I started to read before this was, or like prior to that last part of it, so much negativity stemming from jealousy. That right there, because everything before that, I went, yeah, that can be true. Yep, that can be true. Yep, I've heard that. I've seen guys say that. I've felt that. I've recognized that. All those other things before that, I've seen it. And so, yeah, all those parts of that shit. You're lame. You're lame. If you don't have this, you're lame. If you have that, you're lame. If you don't, all that, unfortunately, I have seen, at least the way that it is now, that is a part of the culture. All right. That's the shitty part of the culture that is now part of this Harley shit. Okay. So all that shit rang true. Then it got to that so much negativity stemming from jealousy. That I think is where it goes for me. I go, well, why? Why is this all your truth? If it is really your truth, okay, what have you done to really, I guess, make sure and justify that this is the true Harley culture that is today? That there is not, that this isn't just the Instagram shit. This isn't just the people begging for likes and clicks and shit. These people represent, I think, what this is. This is my take. These people represent these type of people that are telling you you're lame if you don't have this and you don't have that, or you don't ride too far, or you don't ride far enough, you don't ride fast enough, all that shit. Those people right there are the ones that are saying that, kind of making you feel that way, I think, are the ones that are chasing. They're chasing the Instagram, they're chasing the likes, they're chasing the want of the need for recognition, right? Those people are the ones fueling that. For me, what separates the two is, what have you done to make this not be your truth? Okay. What have you done outside of this to really make this not your truth? Have you dug deeper is basically what my question kind of is. If you feel like this is the stance, because I do feel like it's a stance, but on this end of it, I also know like it's only this part of this shit is stemming from, if that kind of fucking makes sense. Like it's only coming from this Instagram Harley world, this fucking shit. But when you get outside of that, I think you would recognize that it's not about that. And that's the lifestyle. That's the culture. That's this shit right here, that it's not a lifestyle, or it's not a trend. It's a lifestyle. That's this shit right here. Those are the separating factors. That's kind of my take on this shit. You know, yeah, I'm looking in the comments really quick. Yeah, cancel culture. It all started off in the 90s with the boomers hitting midlife crisis and getting new bikes and everybody hating on them. It just spread so much since the internet. I'd agree. It started off, I don't know that it started off in the 90s with the boomers. Well, I don't know. I'm a fucking 82 baby. I'm 40 and I'm fucking just hit my midlife crisis, but I've been fucking with them for 20 years. It's creeping up on 20 years, you know? So I don't know that it's necessarily that. For me personally, I think it's Instagram. I think it's social media that has really sunk its teeth into this shit. I see a couple of people in here in the chat right now that I do want to bring in. Roach, I know you're kind of just hanging, I'm sure, but the person that actually wrote this, I want to kind of make sure that, this, when Throttled Roots or myself post something, it doesn't necessarily mean that we wrote it. And in this case, we didn't write this statement, but we felt like it resonates. It does feel that way, but that's also not the culture that I grew up in and that Joe grew up in. So we see it, but we also want to educate and bring to light this shit. So I want to actually bring in the person, Scott Soul Stealer. I'm going to bring him in a second, and that's actually the person who wrote this, I think, from the beginning. And I want to no, Scott, no. Okay, misconception. I'm sorry. I guess maybe I'll find out right now. I guess maybe I have I see him shaking his head kind of in the waiting room and shit. But my mistake then, Scott. I'm gonna have to find out who wrote this originally. Maybe Scott does know. Nonetheless, this wasn't written by Throttled Roots. It was just more. It was being passed around in the social media Harley Davidson scene. It was kind of making its round, being reshared. Of course, it came across our stuff, and we're just kind of like, yeah, we could see that. I can see that. I have seen that. So I thought it would just be an interesting conversation to kind of, or topic to break down. I'm going to bring Scott in. Scott, first of all, let me get him in here. Let's do this one here. Sorry, Scott. Where are you at? There you are, man. There you are. Cool. Scott, what's up, man?
So it looks like SoFlow Moto Bro on Instagram is the one that wrote it originally.
SoFlow Moto Bro.
Yeah.
Okay, let me I'm actually gonna I think SoFlow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see right here. Okay. Then I could have okay.
I sent it to your Instagram.
I'm gonna follow him back right now because he does follow the page. And so why did I think? Did you repost this? Did I see this?
No, Left Lane Syndicate shared it.
Okay.
And I commented on it, and we went back, and I think it was you and I went back and forth a little bit, and then we talked about it in DM for a little bit, and then you said, well, we're doing it on the podcast, so you want to come chat? And I said, oh, okay.
Come on over, right? Come on over. So, oh shit, you know what? I gotta check something really quick. Sorry, bud. Let me make sure that my I just realized. Oh, it's on there, I think. Okay, cool. Damn, I had a moment of like, shit, did I even record this shit? Hold on. I record in two places, and right now I realize I was only recording in one. Damn. My wife showing me her ass right now. And her titties. Anyways, I'm sorry, man. My wife over here distracted me, showing me her tits and her ass off screen over here. Of course I'm gonna look.
You're not alone. Just saying.
Yeah. All right. So let's get back to it real quick. I kind of lost my train of thought. Where did I originally see? And so it came from Slow Mo. We started talking about it and just kind of your kind of take on it. Let me ask then. I'm going to ask you then, because you kind of heard what my intro was. You kind of heard where my feelings. And I know I'm on Throttled Roots, but I want to make it clear that I'm speaking on behalf of Ray through Throttled Roots. I'm not speaking on behalf of Throttled Roots because I don't represent Joe. But where do you fucking land on this thing? Why did you feel the need to repost or share or fucking, where was your connection with it?
There's just so much, like, I don't want to use the word hate, but you know what I'm trying to say. There's so much disconnect and hate that, it kind of sucks when, so I teach people how to ride motorcycles. So I'm a huge advocate for motorcycle safety. And I'm also a huge advocate for the lifestyle. I'm in Northeast Pennsylvania, so we don't get the 12-month riding season, but we definitely push it. A lot of us out here. And I hate to see people, especially new riders, comment, oh, hey, there's tar and chip on the road. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's basically self-explanatory. It's what they do to seal the roads out here. Okay. And there's also a lot of people that shoot grass clippings on the road. So, they'll say, oh, there's grass clippings, or there's this, or there's that. And somebody will lay into them that, hey, you need to learn how to ride. And I'm kind of like, not everyone came out of the womb knowing how to ride. And I definitely was one of those people. And, I kind of feel like if you ever stop learning how to ride and stop advancing, your status, you start backpedaling. You start putting yourself at a higher risk. But
Well,
there's a lot of just general, to go back to grade school terms, mean people that just don't need to be. Like we're all enjoying our motorcycles. We're all doing what we got to do.
well, let
And
me ask, let me interject. Let me ask that. So
sure,
you kind of you said you didn't want to say the word hate. Part of what I want to make sure I do with this topic, because it can be sensitive, is I want to peel the layers back. I want to kind of like dive into it, because some of what you said, or I'm sorry, no, it's not some of what you said. Some of what was said that we're on the topic that we're talking about, it does ring true, but it only rings true, I think, on a surface level. And that's why I'm using kind of the analogy of peeling back the layers of the onion, because yeah, if you don't have a cam bike, you're this, you're lame. If you don't have this, you're lame. If you don't have that, you're lame. I've seen all that fucking happening in this Harley shit through Instagram and social media for a couple of years now. And I've always been like, oh, it's fucking stupid. I don't want to even be lumped in with performance bagger shit anymore, because it's like, it just took a turn. But the reality of it is that it's where it's at now, because it's just that surface shit. How much have you kind of uncovered and unlayered underneath that shit?
oh, it's not just on the internet. I come across a lot of people that ride through work. The teaching job, but I also sell heavy trucks, trailers, and equipment. And most of those guys, not most, but a good chunk of those guys also ride motorcycles. And they're like, oh, I have a whatever brand. What do you ride? Oh, nobody goes fast on Harleys, whatever the phrase is. Nobody knows how to ride. Nobody knows how to lean a Harley. And I'm like, let's go down 97, man. I'll do my best to keep up to you, and you might be surprised. So I think it kind of started on the internet, and then it's kind of branched out into the world, and I generally don't feed into them, but every once in a while you just kind of can't help yourself.
Yeah. So let me ask a question then. What are you riding?
I have an 09 Dyna and I have a 21 Electric Glide, and I started off on an 09 Dyna.
Okay. So is it, let's say, like club style, like air quotes? Is it that?
My Dyna's club style with a 110 kit with Reaper cams and a Power
Okay.
Vision, and the Electric Glides from the factory way it came, except for the tires.
And so I'm asking because it's kind of in that performance genre, so to speak, right? I guess that's fair, the fair direction, or the category to put it in.
My Dyna, yeah. That's
Okay.
pretty stupid.
Where are you from again, Scott?
I live in Northeast Pennsylvania.
Northeast Pennsylvania. So let me ask this then, because this is where I think I want to like peel this layer back. Is you're from Pennsylvania area? How new and how I guess engulfed are you into the let's one categorize it into Harleys. How long on a Harley?
2014.
2014. So
Yeah.
10 years, creeping up on 10 years then, right?
Yeah, I kind of don't really count the years. I count the miles. Like
fair enough. Fair enough.
That's my quote. It's not about the years; it's about the miles. And
but when we talk
about
about
monster or anything, but
I'm using it more in the case of, let's say it's like in 10 years your style has changed, right? I'm sure your first bike wasn't performance based. It was probably a little bit more of a different, maybe more of a cruiser style, or at least it was set up in a different way. Am I at least like fair and on the right path with that?
Yeah, for the first 2 or 3 years I had it, it was pretty bone stock, and then put T-bars on it and a fairing, and that's about the extent that one went. And
so how long has the air quotes performance thing kind of like been at your, like that's your riding style? The reason you're building your bike is because your riding style, because that's why you build a bike to that sort, is because your style of riding has probably gotten more aggressive, and you need something to keep up with it. So how long has that been sort of your niche of riding and style?
There's a lot of people that say I ride pretty aggressively, and I don't I don't feel like I'm really, really aggressive. I mean, I can be, but generally I don't feel like I am. But in the last 2 or 3 years, I've really started to get more into the speed and you know, the performance side of motorcycles.
Okay. I got a couple other heads here. I got a couple other people that joined. Roach, I don't see you in there right now, but I got someone named Aaron that just joined, or I see them in the waiting room. No audio, or I'm sorry, video, which is fine. But I just want to give you guys a heads up. I am gonna bring you in because I do want to hear. So I'm just giving you sort of a heads up. That I'm gonna bring you in here in a second. Hail Speed, I'm with you. I mean, this is something that we will also talk about right now amongst us, but Scott, Aaron, I'm sure it's Aaron, I'm guessing is really. And then the homie Roach, but influencers, I have been referred to as that. And then I redirect people and tell them I like to think more like a personality because I also cringe at the word influencers as well. Even personality, I got to label myself, I guess, as fucking something. But even doing that, I'm like, oh, really? But influencers and sponsored riders have pushed the industry into a current state that it's in. That's coming from Hail Speed, which I definitely can sense probably from a business aspect. There's probably a lot of people that are like, hey, sponsor me and I'll get your brand out. I can see maybe, I don't know if that rings any truth to it or not, but I think you're right. That kind of, I guess it's the Hollywood of the scene, right? If you can become that, you can become fucking something in the Hollywood scene of Harley shit. I'm gonna bring Roach in really. Actually, Roach, let me bring I lost Aaron. I was gonna bring Aaron in, but I'm gonna add Roach in here actually now. Hey,
What?
what's up?
That?
All right, there's Aaron. So let me bring him in as well.
What up?
Hey, what's up, man?
How you doing?
All right, can everybody see us? Let me see what it looks like over here. Are we? I think. Shit, I feel. Oh, let me see. I think I know what I'm doing. Yeah, I think I kind of know what I'm doing. Fuck, look at that shit. Aaron.
Yes, sir.
Okay. From where are you from?
I'm from Riverside, California. Not too far from you guys.
Right here in Southern California, then. Okay.
Yes,
Two Lane Life. I see the shirt, so you're kind of like in the within. Yeah.
I forgot I was wearing the shirt. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's SoCal thing, like they're here in SoCal as well. So I mean, just all makes sense. And then the homie Roach over here, always cleaning something. He's even cleaning his camera at the moment. What's up, homeboy?
What's up, dude? I'm cleaning Joe's bike right now in the garage.
I got to bring mine over there too.
Well, been telling you for a long time.
I know.
What's up, fellas?
What's up, guys? So I want to kind of get you guys have kind of been following along, I'm guessing, with Aaron. I don't know how long you've been listening. Roach, I know you know what we've been chopping it up and you've seen the shit. There is what I'm trying to do tonight is I'm trying to like peel the layers back on it a little bit. For Throttled Roots, we have a saying, it's a lifestyle, not a trend. And I think that's a lot of that's kind of like a good basis for us. This is a social media driven world that we live in. Look at us. We're using technology to be able to spit on a technology driven subject. But I kind of, where do you guys stand? Aaron, I'm going to ask, I'll kick it over to you. Where's your kind of stance on the topic at hand, the statement?
I mean, let me give you just a little background. Motorcycle family. My dad rode here in the 70s from upstate New York on a Harley with his backpack and a few other things. I recently bought a Harley about a year and a half ago. But I was a dirt guy forever. I mean, dirt bikes.
You're fresh to the Harley scene, a year and a half. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'd say so. I've got friends in clubs and, guys that just ride, and they've been telling me for 10 years, hey man, go buy a bike. I'm like, I wasn't that into it. I was riding dirt bikes and all that kind of stuff. And tired of getting hit in the ground, you get older, and I just turned 47 yesterday. You get older and
happy birthday.
Thanks, man. You don't want to hit the dirt anymore. So I thought, I'll go buy a Harley, man. Changed everything. The second I rode that thing home, jumped on the freeway, I was like, I get it, man. I get it. But the topic at hand, I see a lot of, naysayers and this and that. Oh, don't buy the meat hook bars. Don't do this and that. I personally have drawn to the performance style. I have a 22 Lowrider S. I've pimped it out pretty heavy. And, suspension, motor, cam, all that kind of stuff. T-Sport on it. I think that's cool. But I also think, whatever you're into is cool. I mean, like I said, I've been riding everything since I was a kid, dirt bikes, BMX bikes, mountain bikes. I mean, it's all cool, man. As long as you're out there riding, that's cool with me. I mean, if somebody wants to go jump on their GS and we're going to go head up to Santa Barbara or something, let's do it. Like who cares what you're riding? We're having a blast, right?
I agree. So, but let me ask you, I'm going to reel it back into the statement. And the statement is kind of like, what it's leading to, what it's alluding to is that the Harley culture is what it said. If you don't have this, you're lame. If you do have this, you're lame. If you don't go to events, you're lame. If you don't go out of state, you're lame. What I want to understand, and I want to kind of get a feeling from, because I've been in the game for almost 20 years. I'd love to say 20, but I'm not going to take credit for that until it hits fucking 20. But I've been in the Harley scene for almost 20 years. My homeboy Roach, I know, has been into Harleys for a long ass time as well. Grew up with them. It's kind of a culture. It's kind of embedded in us. Aaron, you just got into the Harley portion of it. Yeah, motorcycles have also been a part of my life and Roach's life. Motocross, dirt bikes, all that stuff, BMX. It's always been just about two wheels.
Right.
But you being a year and a half into the Harley scene, and Scott, yourself being into it for a while as well, and more on the performance side. Aaron, you're on the performance side. Do you guys sense, do you feel, do you see, is it what that is the culture that you go to, or is the parties or the people you hang around, is the majority of people, is that the feeling, is that the vibe that you get in the culture right now?
I guess it just depends on the crew I hang out with. My son, he's 19. He has a Harley as well. He's about as far into it as I am, motocross kid. Yeah, his guys, you got to have the dynas with the big shocks and stunt style and all that. And most of them do. And if you don't, oh, that's kind of lame. Like soft tails are lame, like, this and that.
So is that a younger crowd? Is that a younger crowd? You said your son, what type of crowd is that then? Well, give me an age on like a ballpark.
So he'll hang with, anywhere from 19-year-olds to 26, 27, maybe 30, somewhere in that range.
Okay. All right. Now I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to ask Roach on the other end of it. Roach, where's you've been fucking around with them for a long ass time. You've been around Harleys and grown up around them and people around them. Do you feel like what it is when you go to Neptune's Net, when you go to an event, when you come and hang out at a Throttled Roots event or where bike night, whatever it may be, is that the feeling that you get as a long timer kind of around the scene in the culture? What feeling do you get? Is it a true statement?
Yeah, I hear it all the time, dude. And to be honest, I fall in that category too sometimes, dude. Sometimes I'll see something funny, I'll be like, fuck, that guy's a lame, you know what I mean? But I think everybody has their own choice, dude, of what they like, you know what I mean? Like I have a brother that was all into the V-Claws and he's still into it. And then I got my other brother that like smashing all the time with us too. So I got the best of both worlds. I think I made up my mind what I wanted to do, and luckily my brothers taught me. It's like no other man pays my bills, so whatever they got to say, you know what I mean, they're the fucking lame if they got something to say, because in the end of the day I do what I want, you know what I mean? I pay my own bills, you know what I mean? If somebody's talk shit about my bike, everybody talks shit about my bike because it's a sporty. I'm like, fuck, I paid for it. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I think it's like whatever other people got to say, I think they're the lames.
Yeah, it's shitty for me have like grown up around it, a little bit more rooted in it. Like I was having the conversation with my wife that my like me as a man, I mean, this might be going a little bit too hard or too deep, but if I really kind of think back, Roach, you and I have had some like deep, intimate conversations about life and growing up and manhood and just shit like that. Part of like a good part of me, of who I am as a man and my mannerisms and my character and my beliefs and my ways are because of fucking this Harley lifestyle culture that because it's more to me than the fucking parts and shit. Like I grew up way more rooted into this shit. So when I see stuff like that, I go, I do recognize, yeah, there is a percentage of people, there is a pocket of people that feel exactly what that statement is. I am one of them. But when I say like done, like peeled back the layers of the onion, I've also taken the time to really like get into the culture and the lifestyle of this shit where I've asked the old timer, hey, show me like a trick or two. Can you show me how this whole cam system works? And like, I've taken the time to go and like do that shit. I've taken the time to like, to understand who David Mann is and where his history and where he falls into this culture, because I really like breathe it and live it. I love it. It's just like my kids are around it. So it is that way. And I'm just trying to understand, is it that way now because of social media, or is it because just this pocket of people are representing it this way? Because it's way more to me than that. I see it for exactly what that is, but I can also dismiss that shit and go, but for me, it ain't just that. It's fucking like me and Roach being broken down on the side of the road and like helping him in his. It's way deeper than all that other bullshit that's on there.
Hey,
And
I'm
that's,
not broke down on anymore, dude. I got
I know
reliable.
that's usually me. It's usually me. So, but I mean, that's kind of like those are my feelings on it. Like, how much have you contributed to make sure that it's more than just that surface layer? Because I think that is the surface of it. But if you dive deeper into the history, the culture, and you take some time to really like grab onto it, you're going to see like, oh, that shit is just the surface. That's just the superficial bullshit. There's way more underneath that comes along with this shit if you really bite your teeth into it. Late nights in the garage with your fucking friends, breakdowns on the side of the road, long ass fucking trips in the rain. Like there's way fucking more that comes along with it than the superficial shit. So I don't know. Maybe I fucking think about, maybe I'm just too fucking like passionate about the shit, but for me it's way more than hard parts, cam shit, how fast your bike goes, how much money you spent, who your friends are. Like it's way more than that. I'm lucky I got let into Roach's circle. Roach don't let anybody into his fucking circle, and he let my ass in, and that to me is way more than the fucking bike or any of that shit, man. I've gained way more, and if you look past all that other shit, fuck man, you will be the happiest motherfucker in this Harley shit. Like I am. That's the way I feel about this shit.
I agree.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think I didn't do it for the friends. You know what I mean? I just love writing, and that's the way I was taught, man. But luckily, along the way, I've been able to make some cool ass friends, and I've learned a lot, dude. And yeah, just being around you hear everybody talk about my bike's faster. I put this money into my bike and this and that. I think it does have to do a lot with the social media, all the likes. A lot of people get sponsorships out of it. You know what I mean? They get to hang out with people they never thought they'd get to hang out with. But when I see all that, I just ask people, like, when they're done building their shit, are you happy with it? You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, they paid for it. They built it. Whether they built it or they paid for it, they paid for it. You know what I mean? That's their thing, and I just want to make sure they're happy. You know what I mean? I just hope they're doing it for the right reasons.
That yeah, I agree. Scott.
Yeah, I mean, it's my bike. I can do what the hell I want with it. You know, I earned it.
Yeah,
No one gave it to me, and you know, there is a lot of people out there that will just come up and shit on you. You know, the big thing on the East Coast with the club style bikes is the first words out of their mouth are the world famous show. Oh, it's a Sons of Anarchy bike. Well, let's face facts, folks. There's a lot of people that got drawn into the Harley culture because of that show.
Fuck yeah, dude.
People bash the shit out of that show, and that's your gig. That's fine. But there's a lot of people in the culture that came in because of that, and they have since developed into realizing that that is a TV show, but I still like the style of bike that they ride, and that's fine. So I mean, I can't speak for the whole East Coast, but where I am, anyone comes up to me, they're like, "Oh, you're the guy with the Sons of Anarchy bike," and I'm like, can we get over this already?" Like, come on.
But you're right. That's what Scott, when I say peeling back the layers of the onion, that right there, because that's the surface layer, right? A lot of people got introduced to it, but don't stay right there at that layer. Dive deeper into it and understand what it is, what the show is kind of about, what it's, representing, but keep fucking diving into the culture and don't just be like, want to play Jax Teller. And then you're going to get fucking, made fun of all the time. Just dive into the shit, live it. Don't just fucking be the weekend warrior is great, but just be the weekend warrior. Don't try and be the tough guy. Just be the weekend warrior, because we spot you out fucking a mile away, man. You stay out like a sore fucking thumb. The weekend warrior. It's just like Roach when he shows up with his fingerless gloves. Fuck, fool. Every time you put those on, come on, dog. We're trying to rip.
No, man, I drank the Kool-Aid and I drank the whole damn ball. So I mean, there's people that I know that I show up in a car and they look at me and go, "You own something with more than two wheels?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And a few years ago, it got to the point I was working for one guy that I drove in one day for whatever reason, and he's like, I was pretty confident that you had sold that. So I mean, it's definitely a big part there. It's pretty funny because the county I live in, there's people that know who I am that walk up to me and they're like, "You're that, you're the motorcycle instructor. You're that guy, the motorcycle Scott." And I'm like, "Yeah, who are you?" So, there's definitely a culture that's been built around here, and it's pretty funny to walk into somewhere and people start talking to you and you're like, "I have no idea who you are." I'm pretty from growing up, I wasn't raised around Harleys, but I was always infatuated with them. And it's rather funny because my sister is started watching Chips, and got me into watching that as a kid. And I didn't realize until many years later that those weren't Harleys, they weren't riding. So, but the old guy down the street had I don't even know what it was, but black flamed out. It was a Harley. It was loud. It was stupid. And I was in love. And, I still go to my parents' house and there's my old bookcase is still there. And one of the whole shelves is almost all Harley and motorcycle books. So it's, I've always been enamored by it, but I really dived in and really drank the Kool-Aid the last, I don't know, 10 years. Almost.
I have if you guys, I don't know if you guys can see the comments, but I'm looking at the comments and I was thinking of something, and hooligan culture kind of touched on it. It leads me, and it's a good segue into what I want to kind of ask you guys as well. Is on the opposite side of this, I've met some of the most solid people. I now consider family. 100 miles on the road together, you build strong relationships. Part of that though comes from, because Roach, if you've ever listened to the podcast with Roach and I, you probably heard once or twice, maybe a couple of times, of how we met. And I'm just going to remind people again really quick. We met at a Harley Davidson dealership, the local one here, because I liked his FXR and I wanted to talk to him about his FXR. And he was all grumpy pants and shit, but I wanted to talk about his FXR and shit. Like, I was like, that's a fucking cool bike. And it's what I naturally fucking I gravitate towards, cool fucking bikes. And he was Mr. Grumpo and shit. And he still fucking is. He still knows that he fucking is. But my point being with all this is I had to make myself vulnerable. And some people are more comfortable with doing that shit than others. I understand that. But part of this is the conversation that I was having with Jace from the Fast Life. Him and I took a call when I posted this stuff. He said, "Hey, can we take a quick phone call? I want to just chat." And it was cool because I always appreciate conversation when people are like, "Hey, I want to just open up the doors of conversation." But one of the things we were talking about that was vulnerability. Like, how vulnerable have you made yourself in this Harley scene? Aaron, you've been in the scene now for a year and a half, right?
Right.
You've been now in it for 10 plus years, probably in the Harley stuff, a lot longer in motorcycles. Roach, you grew up with it and stuff. You grew up around people, same thing myself. But how vulnerable have you made yourself? See, I know I made myself vulnerable in a lot of cases where when I didn't know how to do something, I had to go make myself vulnerable and go and ask somebody, an elder that I know that could do it, but was also willing to show me. I had to go and say, hey man, I want to learn how to do this. So I had to put myself in a vulnerable position and put fucking that shit out there. That's my kind of question. And my thought is, how vulnerable have you made yourself when you go out to an event, when you go out to a bike night, when you go to a show, when you go to a rally, when you go somewhere? How much have you done to come out and be part of the community? Or you just fucking kind of standing back? Because Roach is the motherfucker that just stands back. Roach don't, and I know Roach. Like, I'm glad that I put my shield down and was vulnerable, because him and I now got a good, strong friendship. And we've talked about some serious shit. We recognize we're on the same level. But how much have you guys done part of that to really like blend into the culture? Roach fucking forced me to do it. Where have you guys start? Like he forced me to fucking have to be extremely vulnerable to be a friend with him. But again, on hooligan cultures, like what he said, full circle, I wouldn't have met homeboy. I wouldn't have met Roach had I not been vulnerable. And Roach probably may have never met the homie Mikey, and he probably would have never met fucking the homie Joe. And now the four of us fucking ride a lot together and hang out, and fucking none of that would have happened. So full circle, how much of you guys, all three of you, it's for everybody, conversation's open, but this is what I want people to kind of think about when they're listening to this podcast. Where have you put yourself on that scale of vulnerability?
Did you see the comment earlier? That's hooligan culture's slow flow.
What did he say? Up on the top?
Hooligan culture is the original poster, I believe.
Oh, okay. So he's the original one that posted it. Okay.
If I read that right, correct me if I'm wrong. Sorry. I'll talk to anybody. I mean, I do sales for a living, so I'll talk to anybody. It doesn't really frighten me. Talking about solid people, 3 out of 6 groomsmen that I had were all motorcycle friends.
Bless you.
So, my best man is my motorcycle mechanic. That's become, a really good friend. Another guy I could call up right now and say, hey man, get in the car. And he'd be like, okay, the old town scene, who's driving? Not ask any questions. And, another guy that wound up, one of my other friends had a breakdown and couldn't make it, and he jumped right in. So, it's, I feel like I've dived pretty hardcore into the culture. Around here, it's a lot different. I can just hearing you guys talk and some of the slang that you use, like, vulnerable. I was like, what the hell does he mean? And I'm like, okay, your version and my version are different, but that's a whole other topic. But
I thought I was talking to my wife for a second.
What's that?
I thought I was talking to my wife for a second when you're like, how vulnerable are you? I was like, what?
It's like, where's the couch? I feel like a therapist is like,
fuck you guys, fuck you.
Come on, Ray, don't use big words.
Well, shit. Hey, sometimes I get in my thoughts, boy, and I just go on one, dude. I just throw words in there that I don't normally use, but they just work. And I'm like, oh shit. Sometimes I impress myself, homeboy. I think I did on that one a little bit.
It's all that shit they put in the water in California.
Shit. No shit.
I mean, we can't talk. My well is right next to my garage, and I'm sure there's definitely some oil that may or may
There's
not.
some beer in there from one of your buddies throwing it on drunken night and shit.
Yeah. Wow. But I mean, I love this culture. I mean, and I hate to see the fracturing. I have a lot of good friends. Just yesterday, belonged to another group called Warriors Watch Riders, and we took 40 of us plus a whole bunch of law enforcement for an escort. Yeah, I know, hot topic, not going down that rabbit hole. We took the moving Vietnam Wall from one side of New Jersey to the other down Route 80, which is the main corridor here, and we had every exit shut down for those 58,000 souls that are on that wall. So there's still a lot of good people in the motorcycle world, and it was pouring yesterday morning here, and they all showed up, all in rain gear, ready to go. Thankfully, the sun came out, and so there's still a lot of solid people out there, but there is still I wouldn't say a lot, but enough shit talkers that will cause problems, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah, there's always going to be shit talkers. Aaron, where are you? Like, okay, year and a half into it.
Mm-hmm.
How vulnerable? How much have you put yourself out there to learn about the Harley stuff and like kind of like embed yourself and like get into it and whatever aspect that may be?
Yeah, I've got lots of problems in life, but two of them are I'm very social and I'm very obsessive about things. When I get into something, I dive in. The Harley stuff, I mean, I'll talk to anybody. Like Scott said, my buddies were like, all right, dude, let's go. Like, we've already had, 3 beers. You're still talking to some dude you just met 15 minutes ago. Like, let's get the F out of here, or something like that. But with the Harley stuff, man, I've dove deep. I mean, I've already done some big rides. That thing's got 17,000 miles on it. It's it's a year and a half old. Man, I dove head first. God, I'm at a loss of words here for first time ever.
Well, so let me ask you then. So let me ask you this: then, a year and a half, you've dove in head first. Because what I'm kind of dissecting is a year and a half dove in head first. You like the ride. You seem to like the people that you're riding with.
Yep.
What we posted and what we said is there's a culture, there is a percentage of people, there are people that are making it feel like if you don't have this, you suck. If you don't have that, you suck. If you do have this, you suck. It doesn't matter. The basis is there's fucking, no matter what you do, I think overall the message is there's always going to be fucking people that are hating, because I feel like that's kind of what the culture is. Do you, as a year and a half rider, diving in head first, do you see that? Do you feel that? Or have you put yourself in a group that doesn't see that?
Like I said, what I was leading to before with the younger guys, sometimes I ride with their, dyno, blah, blah, blah. But I also ride with an older group of guys I grew up with, guys that were, riding for 10, 20 years already. And I don't get that kind of pressure from them, of course there's, certain guys like D&Ds, certain people like HPIs, all that kind of stuff. And that's cool. Whatever you want, but yeah, I mean, it just seems like certain groups, if you go down to you go to San Diego Customs, you walk into that shop down there, it's very obvious that what they're into, and you're not going to find a bike with a meat hook on it or a big wheel on it or anything like that, But I just got back from Sturgis, and going up there was like, oh, you see a performance style bike and you're like, oh, hey, what's up? Those are my people. And the percentage seemed pretty low. I'd say 10% of the bikes in Sturgis are, in quotes, performance style.
Yeah.
And everything else is, we call them the hell yeah brother bikes, and, the big wheel baggers and all that. And that was kind of the joke the whole time we were there. We actually bought do-rags and wore them around for a day just to have fun, but yeah, I don't see real pressure from anybody, other than maybe the environment you put yourself in at the time.
Roach?
What's up?
Roach,
Dude, I get pressure from everybody. Yeah, I get made fun of all the time, dude. And like I said, dude, I know a lot of the old timers that don't have a performance bagger, but they have a fucking big motor in their bike and they fucking run it, dude. I know guys with like Gary, you know what I mean? Gary that rides up with the pre-Pismo road with us. He has a fucking a Road King with stretched out bags, and he's up there riding the canyons with us, and he's badass, right? And then you get these dyno bros that the younger crowd that are just like, they're basically the hell yeah brothers of nowadays, right? They're like, oh yeah,
Easy.
you have to go fast.
Easy.
Nah, dude. I mean, I got them all, dude. So it's like, I don't know. I think at the end of the day, like I said, dude, I don't care what anybody says. I mean, everybody's gonna be a lame to somebody. So I mean, yeah. I pay my own bills, so I got what I want. You know what I mean? I have fun with it. I vulnerable. I mean, I don't know. I don't put myself in that position all the time because I won't talk to anybody. You know what I mean? I don't really I deal with people all day at work. So the last thing I want to do is go talk to people. I went to Sturgis away from the rally. That way I didn't have to meet people, but I still had a good time. I went for the ride, dude. You know what I mean? That I think that's a lot of people are falling away from the ride. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you know what I mean? I'd rather go for a ride. I mean, Ray, I just told you a couple months ago, I'm like, dude, you're doing a good thing with your whole throttle roots, but don't forget why you're doing this. You know what I mean? You haven't rid it in like 2 months, dude. I'm like, fucking, let's go for a fucking ride. And I think that's what it is, man. I think you're lame if you don't ride. I think what I'm trying to get to. You know what I mean? Just fucking go out there and ride your bike. You know what I mean? All that money you invested in it, fucking go ride it. Don't just go to the bike show. You know what I mean? Just fucking ride what you paid for.
Yeah, I've actually I think I had the conversation with Joe recently, and I've been in my own head thinking about like this topic, but we've built our business, we've built our shit around kind of media and podcasts, which it brings people together and it brings good conversation. But at the same time, I've also been on the flip side of it, exactly what you said, Roach, just shut up and ride. Like, just shut the fuck up and ride. Like, I've been telling myself on the other end of it, like, you're a fucking motorcycle rider. And then all this shit, I'm serious, man. It just sort of fucking happened because it grew some legs. But that's the basis of this shit, man. Like, shut up and ride. Like, go and ride. And some of us are going to be weekend riders, and that's fine. That's the rider you're going to be. Some of us are going to be everyday riders because you ride your bike to work because that's how you have to get to work, or that's what you want to fucking do, whatever. I used to ride my bike to work and I fucking loved it. It was the best way to start my day, and it was the absolute best way to end my day. I didn't need a cup of coffee in the morning because I was splitting lanes at 90 when I was late, and on the way home it was a fucking nice, chill, mellow ride. It was the best fucking thing that I could do for like my fucking head before and after work. But there's
keeps you out of jail.
Yeah. It's different for everybody, I think, is what I want to make sure that I emphasize. And I mean, that's probably cliche. You've probably heard that a bazillion times. We've said it here. Use your bike for whatever it is that you want to use your bike. But my advice would be, I think, don't get caught up into what this statement was. Yeah, you're gonna feel that way, and I see that, and I recognize those type of qualities and those type of things within circles of people, and I just know that those circles of people are just about that right there, and that's what I keep my relationship with them at. There's other type of people like Roach where it ain't about him. He doesn't give a shit about what's on my bike. He's gonna bust my balls if it's slower than me, but he doesn't give a shit about you don't have this part on. I don't think he's ever fucking once said, dude, your bike fucking sucks because that's not powder coated. He's never fucking worried about any of that type of shit. He's just giving me shit for fucking like almost
not keeping up.
Yeah, that's all he's ever busted my balls about, which that's what we should do. That's the type of busting balls you should be fucking doing. You shouldn't be worried about the material things, the aesthetics of shit. That's not what riding is about. And I'm going to full circle it again. That's what I'm talking about when I say peel the layers of this fucking thing back, because that's the first layer of this thing. And once you dig deeper, you build relationships like I have with Roach. You build relationships, you do miles on the road. Shit happens. All kinds of other really good things fucking happen once you get away from that surface layer.
Yo, Ray, I gotta go. Gotta have dinner. Pleasure meeting you, fellas.
Later, home.
I'll follow you guys on Instagram, man. Maybe one of these days we'll meet like in the middle of the country, and we'll all go for a ride.
Fuck yeah!
All right,
later, home. Later. All right. Got rid of his.
It took me a little bit to figure out where you're going with this whole onion thing, and then I was kind of like, "Oh, okay, I get it now."
Yeah, you got that. All this shit here is superficial. That top is just that right there, and that's why I said. So I'm gonna go back to it. Let me look at it again. I'm gonna read it again because that was the part that I separated. Is the very part of it where it says so much negativity stemming from jealousy, and that right there is where I'm saying, okay. How many layers of the onions have you peeled? Because I'm not jealous about that shit. I don't give a rat's ass about what parts you have on your bike. I truthfully don't give a shit. I'm going to tell you, fuck, I can respect the shit out of it. And I'm going to tell you, damn, that's a nice fucking bike, homeboy. Like that shit is tight. and I'm going to respect that, but it ain't going to put you on a different scale with me. What's really going to put you like on my level and on my playing field for me and my status as a man, as a person of this culture, is just, what type of person are you? What type of fucking person are you? Are you a good person? Are you, I mean, can you keep up with a little bit of shit talking and the banter that we're going to have? You can take that as a joke and not be offended by it. Those are the type of things that I'm looking at when I'm looking at people. I don't give a shit about what's on your bike. When you get past that layer, it opens up a whole new portal. And I think for hooligan culture, that's Scott, that's who you said is the original. That's who's in the comments today,
Yeah,
or right
that's what I saw earlier, right?
Yeah,
Somebody confirm that. Hooligan, is that you originally?
Hooligan. Let me see. He's in there. That jealousy part was meant for like 2 people. Okay, so I'm guessing that he is him. So you don't gotta like their shit, but you okay. I don't know who he's talking to here. I don't know. They're talking to some other people here and there. Be a good person, support those in the community with kindness, and ride your fucking bike. Yeah. So yeah, that's him. So it is Hooligan. So, and maybe in Hooligan, if you want me to, I'll send you the link. If you want me to send you the link, just put something in the comments and I'll send it to you on Instagram or something, and you can join. If you want to like chime in on what you mean. But the last part of it, I think the so much negativity stemming from jealousy, that although true for me, the negativity can be dismissed if you're, and I'm just going to put it on my shoulders in the simple fact that if you're somebody like me, that I'm way past the first layer of this shit. I'm only using myself as a crutch in that sense. If you can get past that shit, you can see past the negativity. And then there is no jealousy. There fucking isn't no hate. It should just be fucking love once you can get past that fucking first layer. So that's why I asked, how far have you fucking dove into it and shit? So that's my only, I guess, 2 cents on the matter is for me, I don't see the jealousy. I see it amongst people, but bottom line is it doesn't affect fucking me and my stride and my shit and what I'm doing and how the fuck I'm going to be amongst Harley people, you know? So that's my fucking 2 cents on it, man. I don't want to beat a dead horse and shit, but I mean, we've got somebody here that's 1.5 years, 10 years in Harleys, creeping up on 20, and your style changes. Shit happens along the way. Your riding style gets more aggressive. You hang out with different people. Things fucking happen and change, but bikes fucking change. Styles of bikes change. Types of bikes you've owned, all that shit changes. But what I have never seen change in the shit that I have is the relationships that I've built and just the fucking good times and all that type of shit that comes along with this shit, like the shit in my garage. That shit has not changed for me in 20 years. And that's what I constantly look forward to in this lifestyle. The only let me see what's up. Bill is saying the only reason I care about what's on your bike is if I like it. If I don't, I'm just listening to what you like about the parts, paint, brand, whatever. Yeah, fair enough. The only reason I care about what's on your bike,
it's because I want to poach some of it.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Where'd you buy that?
Yeah. Who makes that? That's sick.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring
mine too.
I'm gonna bring him in. He's listening right now. Jace from Fast Life. Him and I were chopping it up a little bit earlier about this. I think he's on the road, but I would love to talk to him and get his take on it. Him and I alluded to it earlier. I'm gonna let you know. We had a little like off the air conversation. I think it was a really good conversation. It got my mind thinking a little bit more on the matter. And so let's bring him in. Actually, what's up, homeboy?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Good.
Can you hear me?
Going on?
Okay.
Are you on the road?
Man, I just pulled into the house, so I started listening to this on the road, and then I lost 20 minutes of it. Last 20 minutes. So now I'm in the garage and back home. So it's nice.
Well, where were you coming from, man? What were you up to?
Well, this FXR that we're building for this FXR tour thing, I had to take the frame up to a guy that does custom seats in Arkansas, and it was just easier. He does band stuff too. He plays in a band, so going on the weekend's hard to get him to do the work. So I had to kind of just break up the middle of the week and run up there. So
I gotcha.
It's a lot of work, but
man, I've been watching the builds, man. I've been following along. I like cool shit, no matter what the fuck it is, man. And you guys are, I like what you guys are doing over there with some of that shit, man. So kudos to you and is it 10 people? Is it plug it really quick? Plug it really quick.
So there's 10 of us total, 10 different builders. Me and Justin, my machinist, are kind of like the guys that are putting it together. And we kind of split it up where we kind of found like a couple people that have pretty big names to kind of help bring attention towards the tour. And then we used the other half of the builders that are like people that we've seen kind of put in some effort, some time, and they just never get opportunities. Like the industry never gives them a chance to get on a platform to build something on a certain level. So the idea behind it was to kind of, allow it to kind of, expose the certain people in the industry to the world, if you will. We don't have magazines anymore to kind of do that like it used to back in the day. There's just a lot of different changes. And there's some comments I saw earlier about, the influencer stuff, which it sucks because on that note, just to kind of chime in on that real quick, I know a lot of people, myself included, like when I got into motorcycles and custom paint and doing this stuff, there was no social media. We had AOL chat rooms. You know what I mean? So
Facebook groups.
Tell me how old you are without telling me how old
you
are.
Right? Exactly. So I'm not into motorcycles because I wanted to be an influencer. I'm not into motorcycles, or I'm not on Instagram and I found that I could be a painter and get attention that way. That's all happenstance from putting 20 years into my life to do this, right? Now, when we talked on the phone the other day, I was like, look, I'm a hypocrite on this because I've been the same guy that was like, oh man, T-bars are fuck off. I've done that. I've said that, right? But then about 2 years ago, I started realizing that was for me and not for them. I was trying to convince myself that everything that I was doing on my bike is everybody else was doing, and that confirmed that what I was doing was cool, right? Instead of just being happy with myself and what I was doing, right? So my intentions were more so like I needed validation from people, right? To make myself want to ride T-bars or want to have a lowrider ST or whatever part it was, And so once I started realizing, I was like, man, that's like, when I first got into these Harleys back in the day, like, man, all I could dream of having was a set of Yaffe monkey bars, which are those meat hook ape hangers. I
had some on my Road King, and that was what I was chasing at one point. I get it.
Yeah, and that's what inspired me to want to be on that bike because I could just see myself. I felt like I would look so cool, and I felt it and I loved it. And then, social media came along, and having this body of work that I've had for years, you start getting a following, and then you think people really want your opinion about everything, right? So you start becoming that person where you're projecting all this bullshit out of your mouth, and it just takes time and growing. And I'm still working on this shit every day, trying to be mindful of how I come across to people and whatnot. But man, the reason I hit you up about that post, and I think the guys in here now that made it, like, when I read it, I was like, fuck yeah, like that, I see that. Like, I'm not in any disagreement that exists in the world, right? But like I said to you, and what you've been kind of alluding to in this deal is like peeling it back, like, okay, well, you can kind of pick it apart and say, well, why does everybody else's opinion matter about you as a biker? Like, everybody's like, fuck you, I'm gonna do whatever, I am who I am. Everybody's got that moniker, right? Well, then that completely contradicts that moniker, right? But in that sense, now if that sense is like, okay, well, just shining light on the fact that a lot of people are being negative, which is 100% true, especially on social media.
Yep.
It's because ain't nobody fucking riding their bikes. They're sitting in there playing keyboard warriors and blasting comments on shit that nobody fucking cares about, man. Use social media to meet people and then go fucking hang out in person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
Don't live the social media bike life. That's not real. You know what I mean?
It is not real. All it is it's a small glimpse into what we're doing, right? Like
it's a tool.
It's a tool, right? And the FXR build, the tour that you're doing, the FXR build that you are doing, Instagram, it's a tool to be able to do that. To show that. Yeah. But all the behind the shit, it'll come across as, oh fuck, look how cool they are. Look how much fucking, like, look how fun that is. It'll come across that way only on Instagram, but nobody else is really, and they're going to listen to this podcast, but nobody else is like fucking paying attention or knows that you ran all the way across wherever you had to run at 11 o'clock at night at this time, and all the bullshit that came along with it, that all the problems you endured along the way. Those right there, I'm sure, Jace, I'm not trying to put words into your mouth, but those experiences and that type of shit is really where we're talking about peeling back the layer of it. You're using it as a tool to get the word out there and to get the lifestyle and the portray it and show it and what it's about. But it's not just that one fucking minute clip that you guys are digesting. It's the 23 hours and 59 minutes of the day before that.
Well, there's two things I definitely homeboy should get a chance to talk to, but two things I want to get while it's on my mind. Like, for one, kind of about the influencer thing again, a lot of the people that I grew up idolizing in the motorcycle scene, the custom culture that I'm a part of, they were put on the scene, or they were kind of propped up by things like magazines and TV shows, right? They didn't have to do it themselves and become, videographers and photographers to paint their world's picture. Like, we don't have these magazines looking for those guys anymore, right? So I think a lot of people think that, because we're over here doing selfies or showing us, riding across Colorado or whatever seems cool to us, and we put it online, it looks kind of pretentious, right? But it definitely, by definition, it kind of is. But those are the tools that our generation now have to even come close to living a life of like what Jesse James or Billy Lane or, the Ness family, all these people have done. So these are just the tools that we have to to try to create something and keep the custom motorcycle culture alive. Yeah. But at the same time, it's just different. It's like, I understand how difficult it is for people who see something that they want to be a part of, and they take a couple stabs at it and it just doesn't work, or they just don't, maybe that clique of people is just not looking for new people to be a part of their friends group, Like there's a lot of just normal personality stuff that really is at question here, not just motorcycle shit. You know what I mean? It's like, take away motorcycles, make it about pickleball or fucking a cornhole league, or, guys that go do trivia night at a bar, right? Yeah. Not everybody's going to let you in their fucking circle. Sometimes, like you mentioned earlier, being vulnerable and being realistic. Do you want to be in that circle? Yep. Yeah. Because if you want to be, then it matters. You got to make yourself, like, make them want to be your friend, right? They're not, nobody's required to just like you or like your bike or give a fuck about your existence, right? It's not required.
It's not the hard reality. It is the reality, but it's the entitlement, right? It's a little bit the entitlement state that we live in nowadays. But somebody's got me. Do I have myself on? Because I got some feedback here. You guys hear that? Nope. Okay, then it's just fucking me. My bad. It's a little bit of the self-entitlement shit, and I think Jace, a good topic, a good point to hit is and what we were talking about earlier, you need to make yourself vulnerable. You just got to fucking be a cool fucking dude. Jace, I've listened.
Yeah, go ahead. If you want to be a part of that, like, you got to understand that if you want to be a part of that thing that you see over there, then you have to do whatever it takes on your end to be accepted by that. You know what I mean? Like, they're not forced to
fit in.
Yeah. Or, if all these people are toxic and this whole thing is toxic, then just fucking go away. You know what I mean? Just go do your own thing or find a different circle. Like, I've been a part of a lot of different circles. You can't change other people. You can just change your surroundings and your perspective. That's something you can.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So to kind of dissect what this guy was talking about, if that's the way you feel, which I think, Jace, you said earlier, there is truth to it. There is truth to exactly what was said.
I'm not against you.
Yeah, we're not just. Yeah, I'm in the same boat, and I think everybody here probably is in the same boat, because there is 100% truth to the statement. But I think what Jace just said is nail on the head. If it's not a group for you, if it's not a type of people you want to associate with because it's such a bad a vibe, or it's just not good energy, then remove yourself from it, or figure
and
out
seek
a
people.
or find other people, because
Yeah.
not everybody that you're feeling that sort of way is everybody in the culture. I know I'm not that way. I know I could speak on Joe's behalf in this case because he's fucking the homie. I know how he is. Jace, we fucking have hung out and fucking had beers here in my garage. I understand the type of man that you are. You can differentiate that type of shit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's it comes down to vulnerability a little bit and that type of shit, man. I think you're nail on the head.
Is this big word night? We did vulnerability. He said pretentious. I'm figuring out what pretentious and pickleball are over here. So,
Jason and I were talking the other day. Jason's up to like 300 plus podcasts, and we're creeping up. Joe and I are creeping up on 100. So there's some shit. We've had some practice behind these mics, man. We've got a little bit of practice.
Trust me.
Feedback, by the way.
When I heard those words for the first time, I didn't know what they meant either, but they sounded like they definitely make you sound a little bit more like you're in the know. So
yeah, I never took my SATs, so big words.
Exactly.
Don't
no
Neither
doubt. Go ahead, Jace. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, man, I'm obviously Homeboy's here. He's the one that made the post, and like maybe he can shine some light on the whole thing.
Yeah, he has a little bit in the comments.
Yeah, I was reading it. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, here's what I'll do. I'm gonna go ahead and actually I'll send it to him. I'll give him the option of being able to jump in here or not.
Yeah.
And then but he's been, because I actually, to be honest, to be fair, at least, here he is. Oh, he did say he would jump in. Fair enough. I was a retard and didn't see it. So okay. I just sent the link to you, man. Joe, by the way, welcome over to the podcast, man. Did you get home from work or what?
Just walked in the fucking door.
Yeah, long ass day. Homeboy's putting in hours, man. So I think a good subject, though. I think think definitely like Jace, you've been in the scene or your paint industry for a long time. And I think not the most important, I think an important thing to take away from this is that is true. This shit does hold truth to it. Yeah. But I think more importantly, if that group that you're hanging around with is making you feel all those things, I can promise you that there are other people amongst Harley people that don't just fucking feel that way and don't just think that way. And that's not what's on their mind. That's not what they give two shits about. And if you really love this shit, if you really want to ride the bikes, if you really want to be and kind of find out what this culture or what this stuff really does, why myself and Joe and Jace and all these guys are so passionate about it, if you really want to find that reason, then you just need to find the group of people, the circle of people, because it doesn't have to be fucking like the number of followers on my Instagram account for my fucking personal page, the number of followers for Joe and I on Throttled Roots. None of that shit. I mean, it matters from a business aspect, but it doesn't matter because honestly, I got like 3 homies that I ride with. That's it.
Yeah.
I ride with fucking Joe, I ride with Roach, and I ride with Mikey. There's other people that we go and ride with periodically, but there's 4 of us that ride together closely on a regular basis, and that's all that I need. Find those people, and when you find those people, the other stuff will be like you'll understand that, oh, that's just superficial shit. That's meaningless shit, because the shit that I've built with Joe, the relationship that I built with fucking Roach and Mikey, and the good times that we've had, Mikey's got one of the baddest fucking baggers over here on the West Coast. There's no fucking denying that shit. If you haven't seen his bike, one slow bagger, he's got one of the fucking best. It's not just a black bagger, but it makes no difference to me if fucking Mikey was riding stock fucking bagger. I didn't give a shit. That's the homie Mikey. It doesn't fucking matter. Once you find those core group of people, things will change for you. I promise you, and you'll see shit through a different lens.
Yeah, and also, I mean, just to maybe shine a little bit more light, I'm a part, like I said, I've been in the motorcycle industry since 2004, but I've also in the custom paint version of that industry. That was like another set of threshold doors I had to try to get through, that they weren't just open. I had to put time in for those guys to take me seriously. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, think about how many people like come in and out of the mud. Like, I've been trying to paint this picture so it doesn't make me sound like a dumbass, but like people come and go from the motorcycle industry or scene, like the bike night scene or your local area. they grow out of it, or they have kids or whatever. And some of us that's just been here for a long time, I just want to see people that are like more committed to it, because I wouldn't say waste my time. I don't want to get invested into somebody that's gonna just not be into bikes in a year, and they could be the coolest person in the world, but I am on this, my involvement in motorcycles is so much more obsessive. I think Ron said it earlier. He's a very I guess obsessed person in the things he's into. I'm the same way. So when my homies are like the first time we rode to California, I was in kind of a bike club, and then the next year nobody wanted to do it again. And I was like, dude, I want to do this every year for the rest of my life. So I had to find people that wanted to do those type of things that I wanted to do, that I wanted to be a part of. And a lot of that was me having to be a very vulnerable person to be able to be in these circles with these people that did the things that I wanted to do. Yep. And then, once you kind of get in, and if you're cool and you're not fucking a weirdo, then, that's how friends are made. That's how you make friends. That's literally what we're talking about here, is being accepted by people and all that fucking shit. Right.
Absolutely. So
Kumbaya.
It's kumbaya fucking.
I feel sorry for anybody that's trying to be accepted by anybody, to be honest with you. You just got to find people that you vibe with, man, and just fucking
that's being accepted by somebody.
I can hang out with you, man, and I could like you, but if you don't like me, I could give two shits, I'm still going to go about my day and have my fucking good time,
Yeah.
It's just,
but you still have to be accepted by somebody for them to allow you into their life.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Correct. Yeah.
So it's just like I might like you, but you don't like me, and now here we are in the same conundrum, but the acceptance is on a different table.
Exactly. So, yep. Yeah. Jace, I did, and everyone else, I did extend the offer to on it's hooligan culture, but slow flow moto bro, I think. Anyways, I'm going to add him. He's the original person, from what I understand, that posted this. So, a good opportunity. Let's pick his brain a little bit here. There he is right there. What's up, man?
What's up, boys? How you doing?
Ray, you're getting a lot of feedback, by the
way. Oh, sorry. You're on my AirPod. I don't know if I can fix that.
Okay, let me turn me down here a little bit here. Okay. All right.
Any better?
It's Thirsty Thursday. Is anyone else having a beer?
Fucking I am. I'm on number 2.
All right. Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Mountain Dew.
Iced tea.
Water.
I have to function tomorrow at work.
So Josh,
yes.
I first of all appreciate taking a little bit of time, man, and coming in, because it got people's attention, so to speak. I think it got people thinking. It just kind of put people in a headspace to really kind of dissect it. Some people are going to take that and just fucking go, oh, what the fuck? And they're going to read it. But I think if you take some time like we have to have a broken down, good dialogue conversation, which is what we've had. And I think I myself want to understand where I think part of it had, experience. How long have you been? Because some of that stuff kind of gives some information about where your headspace is a little bit on certain things. So how long have you, let's just say Harley, the culture, the scene of Harleys?
Not as nearly as long as some of you guys in the 10 years. It's probably, I haven't counted, but I'm thinking like 4 years probably now in the scene. I never had nobody to get me into bikes. I always liked bikes. I was always on something with a motor as a kid.
And remind me real quick, where are you from? What region are you from?
I'm in Hollywood, Florida.
Yeah.
East Coast. Okay. Yeah. East Coast. All right.
Yeah.
I don't even know if we'd consider it South Florida.
Not alone.
South Florida is a whole new world down here. Yeah.
Okay. So Florida. Now,
yeah, man.
Everything basically, let's be real, if we're going to keep it honest, a lot of stuff starts right here and then it makes its way across. So how far back is Florida? But I would imagine Florida being Miami, fucking those type of shit, you get some of this shit really fast.
That's right where I'm at. I'm in the Miami area. Hollywood is 10 minutes north of Miami. So the Tri-County area, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, West Palm Beach, that's where we're at.
Okay.
But I had nobody to get me into bikes. I just wanted to get a bike myself, and I knew I was a firefighter when I lived in Missouri. I had a buddy who was a part-time salesman, and he said, "Get a 2016 Dyna, and you'll never look back." it was right around the time the Lowrider S dropped, so I decided to go to the dealership, and that was it. Got my my Lowrider S, and then just been riding ever since. But what I wanted to speak on was, so I kind of came in when we were talking about like being accepted with circles and finding your people. This whole post, just kind of like Jace was talking about, like the influencers never intended on blowing up like they did. It's not their fault that their products get shared, or that their stories get shared, or that their photos get shared. That's just the nature of the beast. That's the nature of the internet. And that's kind of what happened with this story. It was meant for just specifically a couple of guys down here that we have a clique, you know, like we go back and forth on Instagram. We just don't get along. You know, it's their guys versus our guys.
Hey, Jace, how familiar does that sound?
Yeah. So like, it is really not about being accepted by nobody. You know, like they don't like us, we don't like them, that we don't want to be friends anymore. You know, like like I said, if you see in the comments, like nobody beyond my family that I don't know beyond bikes showed up in the hospital when I was in the hospital for 3 days after a car almost took me out. My bike life family was in there changing my socks, helping me walk. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's just different. It's just different, man. Like,
let me ask
those
this,
are the people
Josh,
that are going to help.
Let me ask this, Josh. Then, so you've been a couple years in it now.
Sure.
Are these like what Jason and I and what we were talking about a little bit earlier is? Are these guys that you found early in your riding, like your style of riding? Are these guys that you did ride with? You do ride with? Who are they?
Yeah, no, it's people that we got history, man. You know, like you find people that you initially vibe with, and then something happens and you don't. You know, people. Okay. My personal approach to
you guys were on the same groove. I guess I'm trying to make sure that I understand. You guys were on the same groove at some point. You guys vibed.
Yeah, man, we were boys. At some point, everybody was copacetic and everything was fine. Everybody was getting along, and then
so
what
was the changing factor? Because if we're to keep it, I don't want to go personal on it, but we're just
of course, right? Yeah.
I don't want to get on the personal side of it. I want to narrate and break down the dynamic of what we were talking about on the post, right? If you don't have this, you're lame. If we're gonna keep it real, are the people that we're talking about? Is that kind of their mantra? Is that their
no view? No, that, like I said, if you see in the comments up above and very early where I explained it, that was me on a hot thought, a hot take, if you will.
Well, fuck, I've had those too, man. It doesn't. Well, listen, I'm gonna be straight with you though. I'm telling you, I've had those fucking those takes and those fucking shit. And Jace will fucking sit here and say, yeah, he has, and they were fucking directed right at him. Like that's why it sounds so fucking familiar, because I have had a fucking moment of like, fuck that shit, and I just fucking like put my opinion out there.
So it was a mix of like shit that I've personally seen in the scene since I've gotten around it. You know, just you'll have a group of guys, everybody rides up, you know, somebody will be a friend of a friend, and they ride up on something stock or something sporty or 883 or whatever, or a non-Harley, whatever. And then the general consensus, okay, nice to meet you, how you doing? But then there's just those couple of guys. Hey, what is that? Or, you know, just messing with the guy that they haven't built that camaraderie yet to where they know that they're just kind of ribbing them. You know, like this person just started riding, or they just got into bikes, or whatever the reason be. They're amped up, they're passionate, they're excited. And then just for somebody who they don't even know, just to kind of tear them down, it just sucks. So it's just kind of stuff that I've noticed. I've seen it 100 times. We've all seen it, obviously. That's why this shit went viral. So,
well, let me
sure, go ahead.
Let me spit on that part of it right there, right? I think for me, I've been around this stuff for 20 fucking years, okay? And part of what I grew up in, the culture that I grew up around, is every fucking guy that I was around this shit always busted my balls. He always gave me some shit. Like, and there's a difference between like doing it to just be a dick and then doing it to like not necessarily test, but to understand and recognize the type of man that you're dealing with, the type of character, the type of person that you're dealing with, you know? And there's a separate, because I bust balls. Fuck, we bust our homie Roach's balls to this fucking day. I'll bust Joe's ball about his fucking bike, and they do the same thing. Mine's the one always breaking down on the fucking group. Mine's known for that fucking shit. Like, I'm that fucking guy. But that's part of the shit, and you have to be able to separate that early in it. Is it?
No, of course. So
Is it growing up in the culture and busting balls because that's what we do? Or is it being a real dickhead and an asshole because you're just better than somebody else? That's the difference.
Right.
I can chime in.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So, I mean, we had something similar to this happen here in Dallas when around 2017, 2018, when we started off our little bike night that we've been doing since then. And of course, it was a lot of people, and then it split up. It sounds really familiar to what you guys got going on down there in South Florida. But, you know, I think, Ray, he did say that, like, you know, these guys haven't quite built a camaraderie or even really know the guy yet. It's just kind of like posturing on this homie or whatever.
That's dickheadish.
Yeah. And so I get that, you know, but that's always going to be an individual. You know, it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I get it. It sucks, man. But I think that's all I got to say about that.
No, so
I think there's shit talking.
Yeah,
there's shit talking amongst friends, and then there's some random dude walking up to you going, "Hey man, your bike sucks," and you're like, "Who the fuck are you?" You know, whereas
or you're at the
my old
bike night,
neighbor
you're kind of posted up to the side, and then you're watching people check your bike out, and they're like, "Obviously, what the fuck is that?" You know, like it's disheartening for some, and not everybody grew up being a tough guy. Not everybody grew up with this thick skin. You know, it's just it's more of the gatekeeping part to my post where sure, we could all be tough guys, and we could rib each other, and that's fine, and that's fun. We all give each other shit. Like in our friend group, it's nothing but that. The boys group chat should never be leaked. But like it's just the general attitude of trying to put something down for a sense of superiority, or it was that I've noticed in the scene mixed with there's a couple lines in there specifically I put so I knew those guys would see it. They would get the message. I'd get a little return, and then we'd message each other, and we did. That's the whole point of this is before it blew up, it was already squashed between me and the guys. The last thing that was said is like, hey man, your bike's coming out good. You know, maybe we could catch a ride or two. And then the internet took this shit and it fucking went crazy.
Well, you hit a hot topic, man. I mean,
I did, bro. I got to keep my mouth shut.
No, to be honest with you, it's a good topip, man. I mean, it nails a lot of it. The hammer hits the nail on a lot of heads right there, man. And
for sure.
Every little point was made. And I mean, we're talking about the post that you posted, right, Ray?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter what the fuck you have on your bike, bro. Like, I could talk shit to you, Roach, Mikey. You know what I mean? One of these guys could ride up, bro. I would never say a fucking word to him until I got to know the guy. And then we could say certain things, you know what I mean? But there's certain boundaries you could test, you know what I mean? Like, I could say something to you or Roach, and I could bring a homie with me, and he might think that it's okay. And nah, bro, it's not okay. Like, I could do that to him, but you can't just because you're my homie. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there's certain respect levels to that shit. Yeah. Some people aren't just grown enough to know that shit. You know what I mean? Or just weren't raised right. You know what I mean? I'll say something to Ray about his bike, and he's got a nice bike. I'll talk shit to everybody, bro. I bark on my boy Mikey all the time, dude. And he's got the cleanest bike out of all of us, probably. And dude, it's just laughter and shit like that. But if somebody else barked on him, even if it was my homie, I'd tell him, hey, cut the fuck up.
You got to earn those rights.
Stay in your place. You know what I mean? Know where you stand.
I agree.
You should see some people's faces when I lay into some of my friends. They're like, who the fuck are you? Where did you come from? And the other guy starts laughing, and it's like that, you know, that Hollywood moment, so to say, where everyone's like, oh my God, these two guys about to roll, you know, in the dirt. And then, you know, one of us starts laughing, and, you know, you gotta earn your spot, like you said. So
yes,
you got to put down those miles. You got to earn that place, man. And it was just, you know, like, so everybody knows, like I said, it was just, you know, something personal between me and a couple of guys, and then it just resonated with everybody. And I never wanted this to go viral. This shit was wild.
It's personal on your level, and you put it out there, and it got into the hands of a couple of other people. But it's personal on your level because on a bigger plateau, on a bigger picture, on an industry, on a scene wise, like on an Instagram Harley scene wise,
sure.
If you're kind of having to follow it, like I have to, Jace, you probably like us have to keep up with what the fuck is going on, right? And so we have to engulf ourselves. So when you're even on that level, it hits where it resonates. So I know it's local to you, but it's only because it resonates throughout the community. It's just fucking, it filters all the way down from kind of at a certain level. And it's kind of shitty, but the big fucking picture, man, I think for me, like my advice to you, if you guys have squashed it, fucking first and foremost, fuck yeah, good shit. You know, Mitch still be able to have conversations. That's what I love most about this. I wasn't sure how this shit was going to go tonight with like how many people were going to jump in, where it was going to go or anything. But what I fucking absolutely love is that we're just having a conversation about it. Everyone has some good fucking input about this and valid points. And that's really all we need to be able to get. We need to just be able to get people to think outside the box a little bit, maybe hear some different opinions and thoughts on it from different lives, different walks of life, and then draw your own fucking conclusion on what you want to do with it. But I think personally, you make of a situation what you make of it. If there's shitty people that you're surrounding yourself with, then you need to recognize that it's shitty people you're surrounding yourself with and go and find other people that are on your level, and life will fucking be okay at that point.
That's why, like, you know, with what we do with all the camp out stuff and the traveling, why some of our closest friends aren't necessarily within 1,000 miles of where we live, because we seek out the type of people that we want to be around, and we use the 100%. Events that we've all created to converge and come together and do stuff. And then when you ride to a down south camp out, which I was going to ask you if you were going, hell yeah, you've been there.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. So when you go to these places, that's where I feel like that's where it's like, okay, now we're on the same level. We all suffered to get here the same way. So at this place, we're all the same people, even though there's still going to be some cool guy shit going on, dude. You know, because
of course.
I want to see my boy Big Trouble. I haven't seen him in a couple of days, so me and him are going to be dapping up for a while. Mm-hmm. And so there's always going to be that, but that's kind of what I was talking about. I think we were all took your post and interpreted it to our lives, like how we see it with us, right?
Of course.
And obviously you gave us enough context in coming on here to kind of show us where you were at. But the same thing when when people started reposting it, they were doing what we just did. They were,
of course,
applying that to their own life and then putting it out there, and then it resonates, obviously, because, I think one of the other guys said it earlier. I think we were talking about the Sons of Anarchy stuff. It's like, Ray, me and you talked about that the other day. I was like, I don't care how you found motorcycles.
Right.
I don't care what genre of bike it was, as long as you learn to respect it and stay within it and have fun. And if you can become a lifer like I know I am, dude, I'm so happy to have you here, you know? Mm-hmm. I don't care if it was big wheel baggers that got you here or fucking strip club choppers or whatever the hell's going on, you know? Just the fact that you're here is dope. If you learn to, love the culture and try to put more into it than you take out, you know what I'm saying? Do some JFK shit, you know what I mean? That's not what the...
How many miles, man? Let it remind the people how many miles you spend on the year or on the road a year, man. You're moving,
man. I want to say some miles right now and pat myself on the back, but I know people. I've done podcasts with people that fucking blow me out of the water. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. There's plenty of people. Fucking
still riding, bro. You're still riding.
I think that for instance, kind of chiming into what you said. I remember the first couple times that I would ride to Sturgis. I just have this sense of like, I'm fucking better than everybody. I just rode here.
Yep.
Completely null and void the fact that I just passed hundreds of bikers also riding the Sturgis. You know what I mean? From every different direction. But somehow I got so full of myself that I thought I was the only cool guy that did it, right?
Yep.
And you get to that point where it's like, I don't want to be the guy that's like talking about, it was one of the things you said in your deal. It's like, I don't want to be like, oh, I do this many miles. How much you do? Because that's just dumb.
Yeah, that's the next generation. Hell yeah, brother. To me is I put down X. Like, bro, I got a 4-year-old and a wife. I can't leave every weekend. Congratulations,
exactly.
Nobody can. You don't got nobody who depends on you, but like I do. You know what I mean?
Fuck. So it's about doing
be
what
mind
you can.
blown. I bought the bagger last year at like 1,700 miles on it. I'm just a couple hundred shy of 10,000 for just over a year, and I've never left New Jersey, New York, or Pennsylvania.
Wow.
That's what they're meant for, man. My riding, and that just to piggyback off of it, my riding has declined in the past couple of years. But I piggyback off of it because you're right, Jace. It doesn't matter about the miles necessarily. I know that's a bad form of measurement. That is actually an absolutely terrible form of measurement on like how good of a rider, how badass of a rider you are.
I love riding bikes. I like traveling. I like the feeling I get when I'm on the road, you know, but that's a type of motorcycling. That's not everybody doesn't have to do that. That's a flavor of motorcycling, right? You might not be into this flavor. Eventually you might want to, you know, it's kind of like you got to keep this shit fun. And after doing the same thing for 5 years, you might be like, you know what, I'm ready to try some cross country stuff. Or I want to join a bike club, or I want to do something like that. There's a lot of different flavors you can try and see what fits you and your life and where you want to be. That's what's great about motorcycling. There's lots of different scenes to be involved in. But
100%.
You know, like for me in the last, you know, probably a little over 10 years, like traveling on a bike has been literally the most rewarding thing that I've got out of motorcycles. And I'm not going to say that there wasn't some of that at the beginning that I did for maybe alternative reasons. Like it wasn't really for me. It was maybe, oh, this will make me look good on social media, right? but the joke's on me because I fell in love with it. Now I don't really care about that. Yeah. I debate deleting my Instagram every fucking day because of the same type of shit you're talking about. I don't like it. I hate it. I hate that I feel like I got to post something to stay relevant in this world, right? But that's why I started to blog, you know, because I wanted to tell people about like this experience, but I didn't want to be confined to 10 little photos that people are going to swipe past. I wanted someone to make effort to go consume this thing that I just made, right? Wow. Just like Ray's podcast and things, when you make things that, you know, I'm sorry I'm jumping around, but someone said something earlier in like, I think I've thought about quitting my podcast a million times because I feel like, man, this is stupid. I don't know why I'm doing this. Same. But then some dude will message me and be like, dude, I started listening to your podcast 3 years ago, and I finally got to a chance to buy a bike, and I just did my first cross-country trip, dude. I'm so hooked. And I'm like, for that reason, mine. Yeah.
Worth it.
For that reason, like, I can't not, like, I feel like, okay, now I got to put my feelings aside and my pride aside and put this stuff out there. I've done some fucking dumb shit on a podcast. I've said some dumb shit, right? And you just, it's tough. But, you know, if it's helpful to somebody, cool. If people think it's all because I just want to be famous, man, that's cool. That's not really the reason, but I'm not going to even entertain trying to prove to you that I'm not trying to do that, you know?
Right. That's a good way. Yeah.
You know, because that's the other thing. It's like, man, if you start – an OG told me this shit a long time ago. It's like, if you're trying to get to the end of the street, if you start barking at every dog that barks at you, you're never going to get there, right? You just got to keep fucking walking, keep going, doing your thing. And it's hard because I wouldn't say I'm an emotional guy, but I don't necessarily want people to not like me, you know? Like, I'm not trying to tough guy anybody. I'm like, hey, dude, like, I try to make things that help people, like connect. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Whether it's a podcast or a camp out or whatever the fuck it is, you know? But, you know, I get it, man. It's like this whole world, everybody that's joining Instagram right now that I feel like a lot of people are coming into motorcycles, and this is going to contradict a little bit of what I was saying earlier. I feel like a lot of people are coming into motorcycles because it's kind of a low-hanging fruit to get attention if you have the money to throw at your bike.
Sure.
What I hope is maybe they do that, but I hope they fall in love with motorcycles, like truly fall in love with them, not the attention they get from motorcycles.
That's already happening, Jace. That's already happening, man.
Yeah.
It's already happening.
But he's right. Like exactly what he said. It's low hanging fruit. It's easy to get in there. It's a easy way to it's an easy way for likes. But it's for Jace, to be honest, if I'm keeping it real, the people that get into it for that because it's a low hanging fruit and they can spend money and get the attention, they are the ones that rarely get into it for
exactly
what we know it and love it for.
But you know? Like I was saying, hopefully,
I don't think that's me. Does somebody have their volume up on their TV or anything like that?
No, it's you because unless because everyone else talks. And
I think it's somebody's ice in their cup or something.
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah, I mean, no, dude. Well, hopefully I'll see you at the Down South camp out, and we'll fucking have a beer together.
When is it?
100%.
When is it?
I think it's the first weekend of November, and it's in
Yeah.
Inglis, Florida. A good buddy of mine puts it on. Craig. We call him Tampon Turbo.
Old Tarpon Turbo.
Old Tarpon Turbo. But no, it's a good time, man. It's a good chance for people out there on the East Coast to kind of get a taste of a little bit of travel. You know, sleeping in the dirt, getting wild. There were shots fired last year, so it's pretty wild.
Allegedly, Yosemite Sam made an appearance.
Yeah, allegedly, right? Yeah. It sounds like a good time. I wish you guys safe travels on this. Well, listen, we're creeping up on a couple of hours. I didn't know what we were going to do tonight. I didn't know where this was going to go. Well. I think we have had some really good conversation about this. I think we have and I think that's the most important fucking thing for me. I'm always about dialogue and open conversation. Like if you and the person can talk, Josh, I'm glad to hear that, you know, whatever your situation was or is or whatever, you guys were able to talk about it and just squash it and be what it is. Jason and I have been in a similar situation. It's like deja vu, to be honest. Like the exact situation is Jason's and I, and then we ended up doing a podcast, and here he is on mine, and we take fucking phone calls together and shit. It just changes, man. Like you just figure that shit out, you know. I think the most important part is like being able to have the conversation. And I'm glad. Thank you guys for taking some time out. Jace, appreciate you coming in and kicking it over here for a little bit tonight. And Scott as well. Aaron, the homie Joe, of course, always. We got to do this a little bit more often. I think Jace, you and I probably can bullshit about some shit every now and then. When's your podcast? What days do you go live?
It's random. I mean, fuck, I've only been home like 4 weeks in the last 4 months, so it's kind of hard to do stuff. You know, been out riding and trying to be an influencer and shit. So it's it's just been tough, man. We've been out trying to create stuff, and I just did a podcast with the guy that did my seat up there that hopefully will come out in a week or two. But
dope.
Yeah, I just haven't had a chance, man. But hey, you're doing it. You're killing it. The consistency is what I need to get on your level with, man, and just be able to. We do 5 episodes a month, but I don't know when they're coming out. They might all come out on the last day of the month. You know what I'm saying? So
I appreciate that, Jace. Joe and I were talking a couple days ago, and we've been slacking a little bit the past month or so. But sometimes you just need a mental break a little bit to step away and and come back, because something like this, like tonight, is the first one we've done live in a while. And my mind was just way more clear. I was just fucking in thought, really good. Sometimes you just get clouded in some.
You got to erase the palette. You got to reset your palette to be able to be able to take in new information and then really use that and talk or whatever the fuck.
Sometimes you get system overload, and I think that's kind of where I was. But I thought this was a really good conversation. I thought it was a really good topic. And Josh, the fact that it's just on your local level, and you're like, hey, it reached this level, and so on. Yeah. I think that just represents and speaks volume, or a little bit of where this shit is at. But deeper, layers of the onion, so to speak, man. You guys worked it out good. But my advice to anybody else is, dig deeper, find a different group of people, find the people that you gel with a little bit more, and shit will fall in line. But love your bike. Don't worry about what the fuck is on there. Ride it for what it is. Remember, miles don't mean shit. They're a shitty measurement of be a cool person, just be a cool fucking person when you're out there with people, and it'll be fine. Just go out there and bullshit with people. So, well, thank you guys very much. I'm going to kick you guys all the fuck out. Scott, I want to give everybody an opportunity real quick to make sure that people can follow them where they're kind of at. Scott, where are you at, homeboy? And what's the Instagram or wherever people can follow you?
Soul Stealer Wanders on Instagram. It was supposed to develop into a YouTube channel, but life kind of got in the roadway for now. So
I get that.
We'll see where that goes. I appreciate you having me. For 2 guys that just met the other day on the world of the gram.
We're just about having conversation, man. And Ron, where you at? Where can people get a hold of you?
Out in Riverside, California. You can find me at A2 Moto. That's my handle on Instagram. I've got other ones, but that's my main one. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it. Great conversation.
Of course, man. All right, Scott, kicking you out. Ron, kicking you out, homeboys. You guys have a good night. And of course, the man that fucking kind of got this shit kind of cracking and talking a little bit. Josh, I appreciate you coming, man. Where can people get a hold of you if they want to just bullshit with you, check you out? What's up?
Yeah, Instagram, SoFlo Moto Bro. That's where I'm at. I'm usually on there.
SoFlo Moto Bro.
Yep, South Florida, baby.
Right on, man. And of course, I'll make sure to plug the homie Jace really fast from the Fast Life Garage. If you're into the Harley scene and all that shit, man, you want to listen to some other podcasts as well, and you need a painter, fucking hit up Jace at Fast Life. If you haven't heard about it, I'm probably sleeping under a rock and shit. So make sure you go check out Jace, man. Josh, appreciate you hanging out tonight, man. I'm gonna kick you the fuck out. Have a good rest of the night.
Have a good night, brother.
Later, man. All right. That's it for the night, fellas. Good night tonight. Let me throw how about I throw where did it go? How about that one? There it is. Anyways, damn good night tonight. Really good conversation, really good time. I'm really stoked on the conversation that happened tonight. I think that's the most important part about when we see something like this and you see something come across Instagram that maybe doesn't rub you the right way, you have an opinion about it, reach out to the person, open up a dialogue and have that conversation. We got some context as far as what the message was about, but point being, it kind of resonated with people amongst the scene and the industry overall. It kind of just hit, kind of makes sense. It kind of fucking like it hits on many different levels. Point being, guys, go out there and just find the group of guys that you vibe with. If that's your thing to go and just nitpick shit and be that type of group and that type of guys, then find those groups and go and do that. But if it's not, there's plenty of other people that are out there. Promise you that. But you got to dig deep. You have to dig. You have to dig deep. You just got to scratch the surface a little bit, make yourself a little vulnerable, go out there, introduce yourself to people, talk to people. Don't wait for people just to come back and talk to you with a sour face. Just be a cool person, because that is really most of the people in the Harley thing are blue collar kind of men that just gravitate towards other good, solid men. So be a good person and everything else will fall in line. All right. You guys have a good damn rest of the night. Hail Speed, I appreciate you coming and hanging out, man. My office is almost rebuilt and I'll jump on. Yeah, definitely have Hail Speed on again every Thursday, all right? Right here, YouTube Live. I'll get my other camera fixed. I had a problem with the camera earlier. Every Thursday, YouTube Live, 7 p.m. And go check out all the other podcasts. We've had Jace on here before. We've had Hail Speed. Homies were here. We've had a lot of different people on the podcast. We're creeping up on episode 100. So head over to Spotify, Apple, iTunes for your podcast, and go check out a bunch of those stuff. There's a lot of good conversations happened over there. All right, everyone. You guys have a good rest of the night. Later.